Most traders believe something that sounds logical, but is completely wrong. They believe that if they're not succeeding in trading, it must be because they're not trying hard enough. So what do? They add more effort, more screen time, more strategy videos, more backtesting, more indicators, more analysis. They stay up late studying charts. They wake up early to catch the London session. They spend weekends watching trading tutorials. And yet, nothing really changes. The account still fluctuates. The consistency still isn't there. The frustration keeps growing. And eventually the question begins to appear in their mind. Maybe I'm just not good enough for this. But here's the truth that very few traders ever realize. The reason most traders fail is not because they lack effort. It's because their effort is pointed in the wrong direction. And later in this video, I'm going to show you the one shift that changes everything. The shift that separates traders who grind endlessly from traders who quietly become consistent. If you've been trading for a while, you probably know this feeling. You spend hours studying charts. You analyze market structure. You look for entries. You watch the price move. And somehow, the moment you enter a trade, the market suddenly does the opposite. You move your stop loss. You hesitate to take profit. You close trades early. You break your own rules. And afterwards, you sit there thinking, what am I doing wrong? So naturally, you assume the problem is effort. You tell yourself, I just need to work harder. So you increase your effort. You start watching even more trading content. You start replaying charts. You start journaling every trade. You start studying price action for hours. And in the beginning, it actually feels productive. It feels like you're improving, like you're finally doing what serious traders do. But after months, something strange happens. You realize you're still stuck. The effort increased, but the results didn't. And that's when frustration really begins. Because it feels like you're doing everything right, but the outcome never changes. And the dangerous part is, all that effort can actually hide the real problem. Because when you're constantly busy, it feels like progress. But sometimes, it's just movement without direction. There's a trap almost every trader falls into. And the trap is this. They focus on execution quality before they fix decision quality. They obsess over things like perfect entries, cleaner chart analysis, more precise indicators, better timing. They want their trades to look professional. They want sniper entries. They want the perfect setup. But underneath all that effort, something is still broken. Their decisions are still being made in the moment. And when decisions are made in the moment, emotion always finds a way in. Fear, greed, doubt, hope. And those emotions quietly sabotage everything. So the trader tries to fix it the only way they know how. They work harder. They study more. They analyze deeper. But here's the reality most traders never hear. Effort is not the bottleneck. Direction is. If you aim your effort at the wrong problem, more intensity only makes you tired faster. You feel busy. You feel committed. You feel dedicated. But you're not actually getting closer to mastery. And this truth becomes very clear when you look at the story of a trader. This trader was not extraordinary. There was no background in finance, no economics degree, and no professional market experience. Just an average individual who stumbled upon Forex online. At first, it looked incredible. Charts moving every second, traders posting profits, videos showing people making money from their laptops. It looked like freedom. And like most people, the thought appeared, if others can do it, I can too. So a trading account was opened. At the beginning, everything felt exciting. Every trade felt like an opportunity. Every chart looked full of potential. And sometimes there were wins. Those early wins created confidence. They made success feel close. But slowly, things began to change. Losses started appearing more often. A winning streak would suddenly turn into a losing streak. 3 losses would turn into 5.
5 losses would turn into 10, and before long, the account began shrinking. So the natural assumption appeared. The problem must be effort. So more effort was added. Hours were spent studying technical analysis. Support and resistance were learned. Candlestick patterns were studied. Countless trading tutorials were watched. Indicators were downloaded. Strategies were tested. Soon, trading became an obsession. Charts were checked immediately after waking up. Markets were analyzed during lunch breaks. Late nights were spent replaying price movements. Weekends were dedicated to studying trading psychology. Every trade began to be journaled. At one point, nearly 10 hours a day were spent focused on trading. And yet, the results stayed the same. Some weeks brought profits, other weeks erased everything. Consistency never arrived, and slowly, doubt started creeping in. Maybe trading required a special type of intelligence. Maybe successful traders were just different. But then, something strange became noticeable. Another trader was improving much faster. Someone who spent far less time staring at charts. Someone who didn't obsess over indicators. Someone who traded only a few hours each day. And yet, the progress was steady. The results were clearer, which created a confusing question. If effort was the key, why wasn't the harder working trader improving faster? The answer eventually became obvious. The struggle wasn't caused by lack of effort. It was caused by something far more subtle. Every trading decision was still being made in the moment. Think about what happens inside a trader's mind during a trade. Price approaches a potential setup. Questions begin to appear. Should I take this trade? Maybe this setup is good enough. What if the market moves without me? What if I miss the opportunity? And suddenly, the trader begins negotiating with themselves. Fear pushes one direction. Greed pushes another. Doubt creates hesitation. Hope increases risk. Trading becomes emotional, not because the trader lacks discipline, but because the decision process was never clearly defined. And this realization becomes the breakthrough. Progress in trading accelerates when decisions stop being emotional and start becoming procedural. Professional traders don't debate every trade. They don't negotiate with themselves. They follow processes. Processes remove ambiguity. Processes remove hesitation. Processes remove emotional bargaining. When the conditions appear, the trade is taken. When the stop loss is hit, the trade is closed. No drama, no debate, no emotional reaction. And the moment this realization happens, everything begins to shift. Instead of trying to perfect every trade, the focus becomes perfecting the decision process. This is where most traders misunderstand improvement. They believe success comes from working harder, but improvement actually comes from identifying the real constraint. In trading, the constraint is rarely effort. It's clarity. Imagine two traders. One spends 10 hours every day studying charts, watching trading videos, testing indicators, searching for perfect entries. Another spends just 2 hours a day practicing a single strategy, ignoring everything else, focusing only on recognizing their setup, practicing execution, refining risk management. Over time, the second trader improves faster. Why? Because the effort is aligned. The effort targets the exact skill that needs to improve. This is why some traders seem to improve quickly with less screen time. Not because they care less, but because they know exactly what they are practicing. And, just as importantly, they know what they are deliberately ignoring. Aligned effort will always beat massive effort. So how do you apply this shift in your own trading? First, define your process. Instead of vague rules like take good setups, create precise criteria. What exactly does your setup look like? What conditions must exist before entering a trade? What confirms the entry? Where is the stop loss? Where is the exit? Second, eliminate negotiation. Create simple decision rules. If the setup appears, execute. If it doesn't, wait. No guessing, no emotional debate. Third, practice deliberately. Most traders practice randomly. They jump between strategies. They constantly change indicators. But deliberate practice focuses on one skill at a time, recognizing setups, executing entries, managing risk. Repeat the process until it becomes automatic. And finally, reduce noise. Stop chasing every new strategy. Stop collecting indicators. Stop trying to master everything at once. Mastery in trading comes from depth, not variety. If you've been working hard and still feel stuck, there is something important you need to hear. You are not broken. You are not incapable. And you are definitely not alone. Thousands of traders experience this exact frustration because the market constantly pushes one message: work harder, study more, grind longer. But the market doesn't reward effort.
It rewards clarity. It rewards discipline. It rewards process. And the moment your effort aligns with the right constraint, something incredible happens. Progress becomes predictable. Trading becomes calmer. Decisions become easier. And consistency slowly appears. Not because intelligence suddenly increased, but because effort finally began pointing in the right direction. Now I want to ask you something. Be honest with yourself. How many hours do you spend staring at charts every day? And do you think those hours are truly focused or just busy? Comment below and tell me, do you think the real problem in trading is effort or direction? And if you're ready to stop guessing and start trading with structure, comment the word process. Remember this, working harder is not always the solution. Sometimes, working harder only hides the real problem. Because when effort points in the wrong direction, it only leads to exhaustion. But when effort aligns with the right process, progress stops feeling impossible and starts feeling inevitable. So if you've been grinding for months or even years, don't assume you're failing. Assume you may simply be pushing in the wrong direction. Fix the direction, and everything else begins to change. Because in trading and in life, the difference between frustration and mastery is not effort, it's alignment.